Good evening. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. The time is 7 o'clock, Tuesday, November the 8th, 2011. We do have a quorum. And we will continue on with the Pledge of Allegiance, item number 2, to the U.S. and Texas flags.
Good evening. Today we have two students with us from Frank Roberts Elementary, Caitlin Jo Ramos and Michael Robles. If y'all can please stand. Today leading us in the pledge is Caitlin Jo Ramos. Caitlin is 10 years old and currently in the 5th grade at Frank Roberts Elementary. Her favorite subject is science. Caitlin likes to sing, dance, and help people. Caitlin is currently the student council president at Frank Roberts Elementary. She has participated in numerous times and placed in UIL, multimedia, science fair. Outside of school, she has participated in ballet, gymnastics, tap, and softball. She loves to stay active. When she grows up, Caitlin hopes to attain a career in some type of science field. Caitlin is the daughter of Laura Naranjo. Will the parent please stand to be recognized? Today, leading us in the invocation is Michael Robles. He is 10 years old and a 5th grade student at Frank Roberts Elementary. One of his favorite subjects would have to be science. He loves science because he is able to participate in a variety of experiments. One of his greatest accomplishments during this elementary years is being a part of the chess team that qualified for state in 2010-2011. His team went to place 12th in the state. Michael has earned numerous academic trophies that include All A Honor Roll, Top Achiever, and Athlete of the Year. Outside of school, Michael has excelled in extracurricular activities. Michael received 5th place last year for his HOG and FFA. Michael is the son of Dolores Cuellar and Jesse Robles. Michael feels lucky to have his parents in his life. They support him in all he does and love him very much. Will his parents please stand to be recognized? Also here with them is their principal, Mr. Gilbert Galvan. Please stand to be recognized. Will everybody stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Will everybody please remain standing for the invocation?
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in a meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group of nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect students, staff, faculty, and alumni, and friends of San Miguel CISD, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Okay, again, I'd like to thank the parents for allowing their children to come and assist with tonight's meeting. Caitlin and Michael? At this time, we're going to go ahead and move on to item number 4, roll call. Please respond with present. Mr. Hector G. Leal, Vice President. Ms. June Aguilera, Secretary.
Present.
Mr. Oscar de la Fuente, Trustee. Mr. Julian Huerta.
Present.
Mr. Oscar Medrano. Mr. Bob Tumberlinson. Mr. Antonio G. Limon. Mr. Gustavo Acevedo. And myself. Thank you. Moving on to item number 5, I'd like to request a motion to recommend approving the agenda of the regular board meeting of November the 8th, 2011, with any corrections and deletions. Motion made by Mr. Tumberlinson, seconded by Mr. Medrano. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 6, public comment. We do have one member of the audience who wishes to participate in public comment. The person wishing to address the Board of Trustees shall register with the presiding officer or designee no later than 5 minutes before the announced time of the school board meeting, shall state their full name, shall state what organization or group, if any, is being represented, shall state the topic they wish to address before the school board, shall refrain from commenting directly on any individual school district employee or public official by name, but may instead refer to a specific employment area, job title, or the Board of Trustees as a whole, and shall refrain from attacks on individuals. The person wishing to address the Board of Trustees shall do so in accordance with the following San Benito CISD Board Policy BED guidelines. You'll be allowed 5 minutes to give your presentation. Delegations of more than 5 persons shall appoint 1 person to present their views before the Board of Trustees. Presentations shall be informative and shall pertain to school-related issues. Any attack on an individual shall be considered disruption of the meeting, and the Board of Trustees shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. This evening, we do have Mr. Jesus Aguilera with public comment.
Okay. Rumors. You gotta stop the rumor right away. Okay. The rumor that I heard is that we have a choice group. Okay. There's no such group. So we need to put that away. I do support them with Liliana Rodriguez and my daughter.
Excuse me, Madam President. I'm sorry, but the speaker is already mentioning names, and that's in violation of BED local. Just want to point that out to you at this time.
Okay. Please refrain from using any names.
Well, anyway, I already said them, so you know what I'm talking about. So, and I've also voted for, like here's this gentleman here to my left, right here, this gentleman, and even you. And all I ask from all of you is to do what's best for this district and for this community, okay? And that is to include ideas, just the way I feel. What happened 2 weeks ago never should have left this place. Should have been taken care of. Because we lost focus. We lost focus on the issue that we needed to resolve, and we should have done it. We don't need to be in the newspapers and all that. We should have taken care of it. We lost focus, and all we did was, let's see who has more power. And that's very unacceptable. You were elected to serve this district and this community. And so we need to get that done, work together. I hope both of you can get this issue, put this issue aside and work together. Okay? That's what we need to do, work together. In closing, I am not a big fan of PRC at all. While I was in training, one of my soldiers from my squad said to me that PRC had changed his life. And that, he joined the Texas Army National Guard because of that program. And that program was the man in charge of that program was my battalion commander, our battalion commander, General Salinas. And that program made a difference. So, you know what? I witnessed that story because he told it to me. And he didn't know, he was just telling me. And it's important that all of you work together to give our teachers the tools that they need so we can have more success stories like this. So in closing, I'm just saying, let's work together and make San Benito and its community what it should be. And of course, good luck to the houses Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aguilera. Moving on to item number 7, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Madam President. This time, I'd like to inform the board of the overnight trips that have been scheduled. We have San Benito High School, the Decathlon Academic Regional Competition in San Antonio, January the 20th through January the 22nd. We also have disbursements, and we have disbursements by organization. Also like to congratulate Mr. Medrano, who's been nominated by TCTA to be the School Board Member of the Year, statewide honor. We wish you the best, Mr. Medrano. This concludes the Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Limon. Item number 8, School Construction Report. Mr. Ramon.
Good evening. The new elementary, the architect and his staff are still working with the general contractor to make sure that all the punch lists are completed. They are hoping that all of that will be done by the end of the month. And so therefore, we're looking at the possibility of bringing for your consideration for final completion during the December meeting. TxDOT is still working in completing the installation of the flashing lights at FM 732. They do have a contract for someone to subcontract to come and finish striping all the turning lanes there. However, that individual covers an area from here to Carbondale, Laredo, and back, so that's why they have not yet finished there. At Frank Roberts and Landrum Elementary, structure steel was delivered today at Frank Roberts. I'm not sure if the Landrum steel is there as well, so they're hoping to begin installing some of that steel this week. Approximately 75% of the block has been completed at Frank Roberts. Approximately 25% of the brick has been completed at Frank Roberts. And the block has been completed at Landrum, and the brickwork has also been completed at Landrum. They have not begun the erecting of steel there yet. Last month, you all approved some work over at the high school in sealing some walls that meet the roof line. They began that work yesterday. The contractor tells me that it probably will take about 3 weeks in order to get that done. Minimal interruptions, hardly no noise, all of that. We're past all of that already. Do you have any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ramon. Moving forward, in order to promote efficient meetings, the board may act upon more than one item by a single vote through the use of a consent agenda. Consent items placed on the agenda shall be marked with an asterisk. Consent items are items for which no board discussion is anticipated and for which the superintendent recommends approval. Prior to the time which approval of consent agenda is had, at the request of any member of the Board of Trustees, any item on the consent agenda shall be removed and given individual consideration. With that said, we move on to item number 9, action agenda. Under Business and Finance, item 1111A-1, request for approval of proposal on the kitchen equipment for the cafeteria at Landrum Elementary School. Consent. Item 1111A-2, request for approval of proposal on the kitchen equipment for the cafeteria at Frank Roberts Elementary School. Consent. Item 1111A-3, request for approval to approve the transfer of property for the City of San Benito's proposed wastewater improvement project once the project is initiated. Question.
I have a question on that.
Question by myself and Ms. Aguilera. Item 1111A-4, request for approval of 2010-2011 budget amendments. Consent. Item 1111A-5, request for approval of budget transfers. Consent. Under Curriculum and Instruction, item 1111A-6, request for approval of the 2011-2012 school improvement plans for Miller Jordan Middle School, Veterans Memorial Academy, and Amador Rodriguez Juvenile Boot Camp. And I have a question on that one. Under Administration, item 1111A-7, request for approval of board minutes. Consent. Item 1111A-8, request for approval of Board Policy Update 91. Consent. Item 1111A-9, request for approval to update Board Policy EI Local. Consent. Item 1111A-10, request for approval to update Board Policy EIA Local. Consent. At this time, I'd like to request a motion to approve items 1111A-1, 1111A-2, 1111A-4, 1111A-5, 1111A-7, 1111A-8, 1111A-9, and 1111A-10. Motion made by Mr. Medrano. Seconded by Mr. Huerta. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we're going to go ahead and go back to items 1111A-3, request for approval to approve the transfer of property for the City of San Benito's proposed wastewater improvement project once the project is initiated. And Ms. Aguilera had a question? Okay. I also had a question on this one. Mr. Limon?
Mr. Halomo from the city to come forward.
Okay, on the documents that we received from you, it states that this, the city would like us to make a contribution of between $35,000 to $50,000 for this project?
That is correct. Our recommendation on the agenda item is that only the property be transferred over to them. There is no monetary recommendation at all being made at this time, just the property. I spoke to Mr. Halomo, and he was telling me that the particular lift station needs repair, and they would like to go ahead and do the move.
Good evening, board members. Mr. Limon, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Yes, the City of San Benito, we made a request in writing to Mr. Limon for various reasons. Reason number one is that, as most of you know, that lift station in front of Lantern School is an eyesore. It has an odor problem. Unfortunately, nothing can be done where it sits right now. Right now, presently, that lift station is down, and we have it on manual control, which we cannot keep it that way too long. It can be repaired where it is, but once we repair it there, that pretty much kills the opportunity to build a new lift station that would eliminate the eyesore and the odor control. We, at the city, more or less managed to come up with approximately $150,000 for this project. We have two obstacles. Number one, we need land. Number two, we need financial assistance. If we repair the present lift station at each location, that pretty much kills the opportunity of getting rid of that eyesore and the odor problem. And that was the reason why we made this request.
It's 75 feet by 75, right?
Correct. In a site that site, we could construct a new lift station with the proper odor control that would eliminate that. But unfortunately, estimated cost, it's about $205,000 to $210,000, so we're short. Now, if we fix the existing station, we're going to have to pull maybe 35, 40 from what we have, so that pretty much is going to kill the project of constructing a new lift station.
At this point, the city is just satisfied with the land. I mean,
Well, that's the first step. If we have
First
the
step.
land, once we can get funding, we'll be ready to move on it.
Well, I don't have a problem giving the land. I mean, that's something, I mean, after reading that we encroached, I believe, on some of the right-of-ways with the city, I think it's only fair that we allow you to have the land. However, I'd like a recommendation from the superintendent in terms of the $50,000. And particularly in light of the fact that I think we need a definite commitment from the city that they are going to complete the project. And if we donate $50,000 or whatever amount we donate, that the city goes through with building that lift station like you're saying.
Most definitely, sir.
I wouldn't want, to have,
If the district would agree to monetary finance assist the city, we would assure that, believe me. I mean, we wouldn't take anything from district unless we were ready to start on a project. But then again, we would need the commitment.
well, are you going to do it without a commitment, or do you need
No,
the
no,
commitment?
I'm asking, right now we're short, okay? And that's why we're asking for assistance.
Well, I would hate to give you the land and then you don't go through with it. So do you need it both? Do you need the land and the money, or do you need?
Well, we would like to have both, but I mean, all we can do is ask. It's up to you all whether you can participate or not.
Mr. La Fuente, the way the agenda item is written is that the land would become available once the project is initiated. Then the board would pass a resolution from one municipality to the other one. Is that correct, Mr. Acevedo?
The other thing we can do, Mr. Fuentes, is put a reversion clause in the deed so that they're not used for litigation. First of all, that they cannot resell it to somebody else.
Or
if they don't use it for a lift station, then it comes back.
Well, I would like to pass it with that condition, and then we can talk about the funding later.
That's perfectly fine.
The other thing too, or we can make it so the donation contingent upon them starting the project. That way they don't get it until they start the project. Whatever.
Well, our superintendent is not recommending a financial contribution at this time. correct,
No,
Mr. Hernandez?
that's correct. The only thing I'm recommending at this time is that the land be made available once the project is initiated. I went out there, Mr. Garcia and I went out there. The land is available. It's not, we have it spare out there, so we're more than glad to recommend that the city have it, but at this time, we're not ready for a financial
And that's
contribution.
perfectly fine.
So the old one, if you get the land for the new one and you build the new one, you're gonna clean up the old one and
Oh,
close
yes.
it up?
Yes, sir.
I really don't have a problem helping the city out with this type of project. I think we need to cooperate with the city as much as possible. But without a recommendation, I kind of hate to do that right now. I think, Mr. Limon, if you could revisit that issue. I don't know how the board feels about that. I mean,
I agree with, that they can't resell or, anything like that. But we can revisit it for a later date.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Acevedo, but actually, this agenda item, the way it reads now, is that all we're doing is that we're going to make the land available once it's initiated. The board is committing itself right now to make the land available. It still has to come before the board once the project starts, and then the land will officially be deeded over. But right now, basically, we're just giving the city our word that we were willing to provide the land if they start the project.
okay, well, I'm okay with that. I'll move that we approve that item.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I do have a motion and a second to approve item 111A-3. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. I also had a question under curriculum and instruction on item 1111A-6, request for approval of the 2011-2012 school improvement plans for Miller Jordan Middle School, Veterans Memorial Academy, and Amador Rodriguez Juvenile Boot Camp. Ms. Sanchez, I had a question. As campus improvement plans read, under the performance area targeted, it states tax. Is that referencing previous assessment, or should it reflect the new assessment?
It's based on the previous assessment. Miller Jordan is based on, however, not the assessment, but on the dropout rate.
So it's still okay for veterans and Amador to read text?
Yes.
Okay, that was my only question. Are there any other questions on this item, board members? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve item 111A-6? Okay. Motion made by Mr. De La Fuente, seconded by Mr. Medrano. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item number 10, closed meeting. Discussion under the authority of the Texas Government Code 551.071 for the purpose of a private consultation with the board's attorney on any or all subjects or matters authorized by law, A, pending litigations. 551.074 for the purpose of the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee. A, report on personnel. The time is now 7:26, and we are now in executive session. The time is 8:36, and we are returning from executive session. Item number 11, consider action on items discussed in closed meeting 551.071 for the purpose of a private consultation with board's attorney on any or all subjects or matters authorized by law, A, pending litigations. Item 551.074 for the purpose of the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee. We have no action. And item number 12, adjournment at 8:36. Go Hounds.
Go Hounds.